Hello and welcome back to the A to Z of Football podcast with me, the A, and Z, which is the.
Zach.
There we go. We even finished each other's sentences. We're so in tune. Right. What a positive way to start. We are back for the third episode, and we are going to be talking about another three subjects as is becoming the trend of these videos. And the three subjects are.
We are going to be discussing the relegation battle for the Premier League. We're going to go through all the teams there from Brighton all the way to poor old Norwich at the bottom.
Poor Norwich.
We're going to discuss transfers. There's been some talk, obviously, with the season ending. There's been earlier transfer talk. We're going to go through some key players who I will leave to talk about when we get to it. But we're going to go through some key big names and whether they should stay or they should go. And we're going to go through all them and make our minds up through some good old discussion, which you've come to know from Alex and I on this podcast on previous episodes, which I hope you've enjoyed. We've had some good feedback from them so far. So I hope we can keep going. And also, we're going to have a nice, fun discussion at the end of this podcast about some of our favourite personal football memories.
A nice little personal.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about all this thing. We just want something to bring it back home, a bit of a nostalgia.
Exactly. And heads up, some of my memories are not necessarily positive ones.
Ooh, interesting.
Anyway,
before we get into the free topics, everyone listening, why not just go subscribe and like the video? That's like you might as well do that.
Yeah, if you love football as much as we do, and you love listening to podcasts, and the lockdown is driving you stir crazy, why don't you take an hour out of your day and just give it a listen?
Just give it a listen, give it a like, give it a subscribe. It takes probably about 3 seconds to do two of those things, and then however long for this podcast. But anyway, enough of the waffle. Let's get on to the first subject, which will be
relegation battle.
Now, this is such an interesting discussion.
So, when I just looked at the table just a moment before we started this, I didn't realise how close all these teams were to each other.
It is ridiculous.
We've got Brighton in, what is that, 15th, 14th? I think I've got it written down, 14th, 15th place, and they're on 29 points. We then run down to Norwich, who are on 21 points, so 8-point difference between those two.
But that's not even the crazy thing. Norwich are adrift of 19th by 4, so that means that there's only 4 points separating 15th and 19th, and 3 teams sandwiched between them, all on 27.
Yes.
Which is crazy.
It is crazy, and I want to know. From this discussion, we'll come up with our final bottom 3, and I think we should probably just start by going through the teams. Alex, what do you say?
Let's start by going through the teams. I think from bottom to top. What do you say?
Sounds good. So let's start with Norwich.
Okay, I'll begin with Norwich. Why not? I think the thing is with Norwich, everyone likes them. Everyone likes Norwich. So they're just little old Norwich. They can't do any harm to you, but they just are rubbish. They are. I'm sorry, and I hate to say it because I think they've got a couple good players. But if you can't, if they're defending like they're going to defend in the Premier League, and then just bank on blinking Timo Pukki to bail them out every time, it's not going to work. I'm sorry, Daniel Farker. You seem like a very nice guy. It is not going to work. End of. And it's a shame because when Norwich came up last season, I had quite high hopes. I thought they were going to finish, like 13th, 14th, have a good season. Clearly, at some points, they played some good football, like as we saw against, Man City earlier on, and a couple of other games. However, it's all very well doing, like, trying to play that football, but if you can't adapt in the Premier League and, switch it up to, like, play a bit more defensive game instead of always all out attacking, then you're going to get hurt, in my opinion.
I think the problem that Norwich have always had is they're quite a yo-yo team. So they'll go from Championship, Premier League, and kind of yo-yo between those two divisions. I agree with you. Norwich are a team. I don't know many people who don't like Norwich. I like them being in the Premier League, and when they came up, they started strong. They actually started quite strong. They got I don't know. I can't remember if they. I remember watching them play Chelsea one of the first games. I think they got the 2-2 draw or something like that, and it was it's an
They,
impressive result. I don't know if they won or
yeah,
lost. I don't remember. But like just watching them, they had Pookie who was, and people going, this guy could get golden boot and stuff. And I'm watching it, and I'm watching them going, they could actually have an okay season. They
yeah,
could survive this. And
yeah,
then out of nowhere, they were still 20th, and I was going, oh, I thought they're doing
yeah,
better than that.
yeah.
But yeah, they've got some class players, but they just they Norwich have never been a team that can just survive in the Premier League. They just
No,
turn
you're,
up and then they're
you're
back again. So I think yeah, you're right. You're completely right, Alex. Norwich have suffered, but and they've just got worse throughout
it,
the
it,
season.
it just feels like they didn't really have a proper plan. Like, and it's a shame because like they've got Pukki and they've got Cantwell, who I really rate as well, and Buendia, who I think is class. I think he's got 7 assists this season or something. So they've got good players. It's just I think as I said, they know one way to play, and if you can't adapt to play different sorts of teams in the Premier League, then you're going to get burnt. And I mean, the table says it all, doesn't it? I mean, even now they're on, was it 21 points? I mean, up until 3 or 4 games ago, they were even further adrift than they are now. So it the the Great Escape, I'd say there's a 2% chance of it happening, but unfortunately, as I think we're in agreement,
Hmm.
they're down.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they've got a bit too much of a nice edge. They need a bit
Yeah,
more. They don't have a ruthless edge to them, and I think that's what they're missing.
I
Um,
agree.
I
I
think
agree.
that's what they would need to survive.
Daniel
But
Farke just seems like a really lovely guy, doesn't he? And
yeah, I'd love to just
you
have like dinner with him and like have a good chat. You know.
you like to have a
Um,
chat. You want a manager like Chris Wilder or Sean Dyche when you're in that with that type of team.
mm,
Just someone that will like
mhm.
get the boys together and know that they're going to go 100% all out. And you're not quite sure if Norwich happened. But anyway, I'm done talking about Norwich. Norwich just they're done. As much
They're
as I
done.
hate to say it, they're done in my
Well,
opinion.
what about Aston Villa then?
Right now, this is so interesting because this Aston Villa side, not although a bigger club first of all, and not as bad points wise as Fulham were last season, I see so much um, resemblance between Fulham of last season
Mm,
and Aston Villa this season. At the start and in the January transfer window, they're just buying all these random players that
yeah.
they see. It feels like they see them on FIFA and they think, oh, they've got good stats on FIFA. Let's just buy it. Just bring him in for 10 mil or something like that. And
Mm,
it is weird because but that's what Fulham did. Like Fulham last season spent 130 mil. I think Aston Villa spent somewhere near to that. And for that amount of money, you have to survive. And especially
I,
for a club of Villa's size, they're a huge club that deserves
yeah.
to be in the Premier League.
Oh no,
So
I completely agree. I still believe Aston Villa are a big club. They've got immense history behind them, in the top division as well. But I think that's a trend we could start seeing, and I think we've seen it for a few seasons now actually as well. If you win the Championship playoff, that's almost like the big money prize compared to
yeah,
winning the actual league. If you
mm,
win the playoff, that's the team that then spends all the money in the summer, and because they spend that money, that team has no chemistry,
mm,
no influence on the other teammate. It falls apart right before their eyes, and it's this luxurious squad which you're like, wow, that could do really well, but it doesn't because it doesn't click because they've had pre-season. That's
yeah,
it, and they
yeah,
haven't kept the key players that got them promoted in the first place.
yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, look, you look
mm,
at Sheffield United, and they didn't spend that much money, but when they did spend money, they spent it in the right places. They spent money on Muse, who clearly they saw something in. He's done brilliantly. And who else? They've just recently brought in the Belgian centre mid. I've forgotten his name. Sanderberg.
okay,
Who's looked good since coming in. Like
mm,
these are signings that they've clearly thought out, and 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 Wilder said, yeah, I want him because he'll fit my system.
mm,
But Dean Smith, like he doesn't. It did feel just like he was buying players for the sake of buying players instead of actually putting careful thought in.
yeah,
However,
uh, yeah,
however, when you've got a player as in form and as brilliant as Jack Grealish is, then you're always in with a shot of staying up. I think.
I mean, they did well to keep Grealish. You know, we're
Yeah,
going to talk about transfer talk a bit later on, but
yeah.
he was supposed to go to Tottenham, Man United. You know,
Oh yeah,
I think Leicester was mentioned briefly for like a few weeks. It was like, you know, these big clubs were looking at him because he's a star player,
mm,
but he has not got the support because of the new players, you know, the cash spent. He hasn't got the chemistry or the support to
yeah.
capture that side to Premier League survival. And unfortunately, Aston Villa are becoming a yo-yo team, and they don't deserve to be a yo-yo team. They deserve to be in the Premier League. But
Yeah, I
they
agree.
only deserve to be in the Premier League if they can play well, and they haven't played well this season, and that's why that's why they are where they are.
I think it's worth pointing out with Villa is that injuries have not been kind to them whatsoever.
Yeah, agreed.
They lost Wesley, that one of their strikers, who wasn't firing them in by any means, but he was certainly he looked good on the ball. He had a few, got I think 5-6 goals by the time he got injured in December, early January time.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Heaton, who was really starting to mould into that squad and looking great. I mean, I'm a Burnley fan. I love Tom Heaton. He's a fantastic professional.
Yeah,
So
I rate Tom Heaton
yeah,
highly.
so losing him on, I know they've got Pepe Reina as a replacement, but it's never nice when you've got a settled goalkeeper and then suddenly you have to change that around. And of course, and obviously John McGinn as well, who's a fantastic central midfielder in my opinion. And I think losing a core trio like that is unlucky, and you can't really
Yeah,
pan away from that as when we're talking about a relegation debate, because I think had all those three stayed fit, then we might be looking at a different story. But then again, so that part's unlucky, but then it's how Villa react and spend in the right ways, and I don't think they have. So it's a bit of a 50-50 with them if they're going to stay up or down. What's your gut feeling at the moment?
Uh, my gut feeling is that the bottom two will stay the same, although
Wow.
I think Aston Villa could come back a bit stronger.
It's
So I'm set on Norwich.
yeah,
Aston Villa are difficult, and I think look. I want to, if we go on to talk about the other teams, looking at how they're performing,
yeah,
my mind could quite easily change by the end of this conversation. Let's put it that way.
I,
And I
I,
think with that, I want to talk a bit about Bournemouth because, in my opinion, this season, Bournemouth have been poor, like
they've been
really poor.
very, very, very poor. I have to say, they
I have not been impressed by a single game or a single thing I've watched of Bournemouth this season. And I'm sorry, Bournemouth fans, if you're listening, because I know that sounds harsh, because you've had a few wins, you know, good wins in there and stuff, but it just hasn't been good to watch. Not like it was this couple of seasons before. It hasn't. I haven't enjoyed watching Bournemouth, and I think that's my problem for me. They don't look like a team that's confident. They don't look like a team that wants to be there. They don't look like a team that's fighting.
mm,
They've kind of assumed that they'll be okay, and they won't be okay. They're, you know, although they're on the same points as West Ham and Watford, they are in serious trouble.
I agree.
Serious
I
trouble.
agree. I think it's an interesting one because you're right. Eddie Howe started at Bournemouth, came to Burnley, went back to Bournemouth. Since has done a no one can deny he's done an unbelievable job. I think that like, we can all say that. However, you're right. When they came up in 2016, was it 15, 16?
Mm,
I mean, it's a fantastic achievement that they've stayed in the Premier League for such a long time. But
absolutely.
you can't I feel like they're sort of clinging on to that a bit, and it's where they want to try and get
Mm.
to as a football club, and they just in my like it is a tricky one, but they just seem a bit. I feel like I want to use Troy Deeney's word of describing Arsenal back in the day of like they feel like they lack cojones. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is. Like they just don't have that
Do
bite
do
this
you,
season.
do you think Eddie Howe has
Take it
lost
as far as he
them?
can.
Do you think he's done? Do you think he's taken them as far as he can?
Oh, I think he has, and I hate saying that because I mean, being a Burnley fan, like we've had Sean Dyche for such a long time, you do get so emotionally attached to managers, and I love very how to prove you wrong because he's a young English manager doing well in the Premier League, which is what I like. But I feel like they need a bit of a change of identity because sort of teams are figuring them out now. They used to play this quite attacking, nice football, stylish football, and outscore games. I know they went through a long period this season where they didn't score at all, and they just don't seem to have that bite anymore. And it's really tricky with them because you know what? Out of all of those teams down there, even including Norwich in this, like I think they're the ones that if I was playing them, I'd take Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Like, and because
I agree.
Norwich can't, like, I think when Norwich are at their best, they're better, and I think Bournemouth now, I just can't see it, and that's is very weird to say because I don't think anyone would have really put them right down in the relegation battle this season. But I think
no, I would have had them in the bottom half of the table for sure. But I was expecting more from them. You know, last season they beat Chelsea 5-0. Was it 4-0, 5-0?
3-0 away. It was, yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's a crazy result to have against a top team that wins Premier Leagues, wins FA Cups.
Yeah.
And this season they don't have a spark anymore. They don't have a character. They lack. I think it's just said it. They lack an identity completely.
Yeah.
And I think their fight is really, they need to really turn up on the pitch when football comes back, because if they don't, they'll be back in the Championship where they were in League One for so long.
And the thing is with Bournemouth as well, unlike Norwich and Aston Villa, I think if Bournemouth go down, they're not going to come back for a long, long time because they haven't got the history. And I feel like if Bournemouth go down, Eddie Howe will go. I think another team will snap him up, and then I think then it's probably back to square one for them. And I think that's probably the thing that must be scaring Bournemouth fans a lot. So, okay, so that's Bournemouth. We'll get back to who our bottom three at the end. So let's move on up to Watford now. Watford. Do you remember the, quite frankly, horrendous start they had?
Yeah. What was it? 2 wins, I think, out of 15 games, something like that. They were awful. They were god awful. They were rock bottom of that Premier League on 9 points for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And they've gone through. They're on their third manager this season.
Yeah, third, because they went from
Garcia
to Kike Flores.
Yeah.
Was it Kike Flores?
Yes,
I think. Gosh, I might have really embarrassed myself there, but I'm pretty sure. I'm double check actually. So they were on 9 points, and what were they? I think 10 points adrift. I think
they were really down and done over, to be fair. But they've pulled back. They've been impressive. This sort of the latter period of the season we're currently in. They have been very impressive. You know, they beat Liverpool 3-0. I don't. They're the only team that have beaten Liverpool this season, and to do that with a team that was so strong, so elegant in the way they've been playing, and rightly deserving to win the title, they broke them apart. And so
not only scraped to win, but demolished them.
Yeah, absolutely broke Liverpool.
Ismaila Sarr was just a class above everyone that day, and it's such a weird dynamic with Watford because it was Kike Flores, by the way. I didn't embarrass myself, so
good, well done.
that's a plus. Because I thought they were dead and buried, and I thought when they appointed Nigel Pearson, I was like, well, what's that going to do? But I think in looking back, you can see why it's a smart decision because he's a sort of no nonsense. Look, I'll punch you if you misplace a pass type thing, which is what they needed. They needed a bit of a kick up the arse, didn't they? And
definitely. And
they've got so much talent in that squad. Like they've got Sarr, they've got Decore, they've got Delafeu, Holobash, like really talented players. And obviously with Deeney, who's the sort of Mr. Watford type player.
Definitely Mr. Watford. That's a perfect name for him.
It is. He's Mr. Watford. He absolutely loves it. I mean, I think he thinks he's miles better than he actually is. But that's a conversation. You do need players like that in your team. So it's a tricky one with them because I thought they were dead and buried, and now they're coming back to life a little bit. So it's just where they're going to gonna leave off? Like,
It all depends how they come back. Do they come back with the same mentality they were having towards the end? And if they do, then I could see them just surviving. If they don't, because like I think Nigel Pearson's a decent manager. I don't rate him that highly. So
No. What I do think is that in relegation battles, manager boosts, like when a new manager gets appointed, are huge.
Yes.
And the only thing I'm thinking with Nigel Pearson is that he's had that boost, and whether he can carry it on. Like he's had the initial right. We've got a new manager, good new ideas. We're playing really good football. Now this break has happened, and let's say we come back and we finish the Premier League. I'm hesitant to think that will carry on. Quite frankly, I think he's the type of obviously, and we've seen at Leicester, he's the type of manager that gets really like pissed off, for lack of a better phrase. So, I'm really undecided with Watford. I really am.
Yeah, I think they're a tricky one just because of how poor they were at the start of the season, and getting a new manager has given them the two new managers gave them those boosts that have lifted them up. But I'm worried that may wear off. So I think Watford's a difficult one. But what about West Ham then? Because West Ham, obviously, big Premier League club, big status in terms of their following.
Yeah.
As a team, what went wrong for West Ham this season?
What went wrong? So, I think the case with West Ham is that they tried to sort of jump before they could walk, so to speak. Like, obviously, they hired Pellegrini, I want to say 2 years ago now, roughly. And he did a good job, but I feel like Golden Sullivan, and Brady, they want European football, and they want it now. I don't think they can see a sort of trajectory as to where they will be in 5 seasons, maybe. I think they always want it now, or in the present season.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think West Ham really struggle with the fact that they aren't a really huge club, and they think that they deserve to be, and they go, oh, but Man City got all this money and they went on to win all these trophies. Why can't we do the same? And you go, well, football isn't supposed to work like that, and it doesn't work like that. Actually, you still have to get the players who are going to do the job. You know, you can't bring in who was a striker, Haller or something. I can't remember. Yeah, Haller. They can't bring a player in that and expect him to be the same quality as someone like Aguero.
Exactly.
And I think you hit the nail on the head when they do jump the gun. They completely think that they can just jump ahead of everyone else. And unfortunately, if you can't put the chemistry and you can't put the team together, you can't put the football together, you won't win football matches. Money doesn't win football matches. Football wins football matches.
Yeah.
And whether you spend money to get that football is the other argument. But you still have to, play well. And the only key player that stands out to me at West Ham is Mark Noble.
Yeah, well, I mean, using the Troy Deeney analogy, he's Mr. West Ham, isn't he? And you do need players like that, and you need players like that to step up in this time. I'd say what I am impressed about from West Ham is that they managed to get Jarrod Bowen, who I think well, I mean, we're going to reveal our bottom three at the end, but I think he's going to be a big player should the Premier League resume. But I think it is just a case of them thinking that they're in a better position than they are the whole time. Like throwing.
So David Moyes saved them once.
No, he can't again. I refuse to believe he can again. Well, sorry, no. In terms of he can't in terms of what the owners want. I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
he's not that type of manager. At Everton, he did really well with them to get them to fourth, and for that one season, and keep Everton up and around that top 6 area for when he was manager. But clearly, I mean, he hasn't got any. But he went to Man United. He went through all of that tough time, and he's not the person that West Ham need to propel them up. Like he isn't. But will he keep them up? Who knows? We shall discover. You keep listening and find out what me and Zach think. Okay. Lastly,
Brighton.
Brighton. Right. Brighton. Graham Potter with Brighton.
Uh,
I don't
well,
think anyone really
I'm
knows
gonna,
what to make of Brighton, to be
yeah.
honest.
Look, I'm gonna start off when the season started. We all do this. My family especially do it. We all sat there and went, who's gonna win the league, who's gonna get promoted, who's gonna get top four. We all kind
Yeah.
of sat there and went, who's gonna get relegated. And I had Brighton to get rock bottom relegated. They were gone
Really?
because
Wow.
of how poor they were at the end of last season. I had
Yeah,
Brighton
they were
out
very
and
poor.
gone.
Yeah.
I had Brighton absolutely dead and buried with this season, but they've surprised me. They've really surprised me. They've survived, and they've been some games. They beat Spurs 3-0.
Yeah.
They've been sometimes, not all the time, because they haven't been the best team. They're still pretty poor side, but sometimes they've been a decent squad to watch.
The thing is with Brighton is that I hear Brighton and I don't really know sort of what to like what their style is. Like
Mm.
and I still don't know by watching them. Like they're not like a Burnley where you just grind out results, you play in whatever means to get there. But they don't really play. They don't sort of try and play the Norwich way. They're just really lovely attacking football all the way. It's sort of, I think it gets a bit muddled sometimes. However, and they don't really have the most talented squad out of the bottom six we've mentioned. Really,
No.
I think Mopé was a great signing. He's done very well since coming in, but he's it just feels like Brighton lack a bit of sort of spark and excitement a lot of the time. Like Graham Potter, he's not the most sort of upbeat and uplifting manager to have in a relegation
Do
battle.
you
But
think, similar to what we were saying with Bournemouth, do you think that lack of spark is going to be a problem when they come back then?
yeah, I honestly do because he just doesn't seem like he's the type of manager to get players in the right headspace for really crucial games. Which, but bearing in mind, like we're talking in the context of the if the Premier League does come back, it's more than likely going to be one game every 3 days type setup, or like a very sort of congested Premier League game where players have to be it'll be such a mental battle almost for them to stay positive and stay upbeat about really crucial games. And
Yeah.
I think with Nigel Pearson, sorry, going back to sort of Watford, like although he might not be the best manager, he'll get players riled up and he'll get them in that
Yeah.
headspace. And I think Graham Potter and people like Eddie Howe, I don't think I just don't think that they'll have that. I mean, obviously, just shouting at players isn't everything, but I think it is a big
Yeah.
part of mentally in a relegation battle. So,
I
ah,
I I I think I
interesting.
think I hear what you're saying there, and I'm looking at the teams left, and I'm really struggling. I can't figure out
I
who I want to put where.
I know my bottom three.
Shall we shall we share? Okay, I'm gonna make my
Shall we
mind up.
share?
All
Okay,
right, I've made my mind up.
you've made your mind up.
I've made my mind up.
Who do you want to go first?
Why you're more confident, so why don't you
Okay,
start?
I'm pretty confident in my answers here. So, obviously, we've got Norwich bottom. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty standard. But then in 19th, we have Bournemouth.
Oh, okay.
And in 18th, we have Brighton.
Wow, I wasn't ready for you to say that at
No,
all.
I figured that was going to be the reaction. But I'll just explain myself. Aston Villa, firstly, I think we forgot to mention they've got a game in hand
Mm.
out of all the bottom six. So if they win that, then they would be out of the relegation zone by a point. But I just think Aston Villa will have the quality. I think by this, John McGinn will be back by the time we do come back. They've got Jack Grealish. They've got Samata, actually, the new striker, who looks fairly decent in the few games he's played in, and just the history of the club is it's a little bit of want in
Mm.
this, but I think they will. I think they will just scrape it. I think Watford, as I've already said, they've got talent, and I think Nigel Pearson, although he's not the best manager, will just be able to get a cheeky result here and there, a few 1-0s, and
Yeah.
just grind it out,
Mm.
and then it's down to Brighton and West Ham, and I just think West Ham will have the edge, and because I do like Brighton. One of my dad's good mates is a Brighton fan. We always go down to watch Brighton Burnley games,
Mm.
but I feel they're just so uninspiring, and I think that the rest of the teams I mentioned can have days where they do beat a Liverpool, they do beat a City type thing, or a Man United. So that is my bottom three.
That
Controversial as it may be.
do you know what? I was ready for you to be like Norwich, Villa, Bournemouth, done.
Wow.
I was certain you were gonna throw that. I mean, that's why I let you go first. But
Okay.
you've really thrown me off there, Alex.
You are
Um,
full of
okay,
surprises here on the A to Z of football
okay.
podcast. It's full of surprises.
I think I've made my mind up. I'm
Go on.
going Norwich bottom. I
Yeah.
think Brighton are gonna finish 19th.
Brighton.
I think Brighton are going to finish 19th, and
Whoa.
I think Villa are going to finish 18th.
No. Very interesting. Okay.
The reason I say I think although Bournemouth have lost their spot a bit like the same with Brighton, Bournemouth have players. They've got Wilson, King, Harry Wilson. They've got Fraser. They've got these players that can really influence a game and step up and
Okay.
take
Yeah.
it by the horns. And I think if they come with that mentality and they really go for it, I think they can survive. Same with Watford. You said they can get the shock results. They've got the players to pull something together. And I think West Ham, although they've have really lacked confidence this season, they'll just get a couple of cheeky results, which will
I think they will.
keep them up. I personally think you're looking at West Ham being out of Bournemouth, Watford, and West Ham. West Ham will struggle the most, but I think Watford will
Interesting.
succeed. I think Watford will succeed the best. So if you
Okay.
want my full table, I'm going Norwich, Brighton, Villa, West Ham, Bournemouth, Watford.
Okay. And mine is Norwich. What did I say? Norwich, Bournemouth, Brighton, Watford, Villa, West Ham.
There you go.
So there you go. That was interesting. That was very interesting because
We really shakes up the table there, didn't we?
we did. You know, it's just crazy opinions here. But okay, well that concludes the relegation chat.
Also, would love to know what everyone else thinks. So
Yeah, put in the
we'd
comments
get a conversation going.
who do you think's going down and why? Let us
Yeah.
know because it would be nice to hear other opinions. Okay, so we are now moving on, I believe, to some transfer news or
Yeah, we're gonna have a bit of transfer talk, Alex.
transfer.
If you're up for it,
I'm
we're gonna go.
up for it. Let's
Of
go.
course you are. Talk about football. That's what we do on here.
That's what we do.
We're gonna talk about some big names, key players, and we're gonna discuss whether they should stay or they should go. We'll sort of level out the argument
Yeah.
and see what we can come up with. Let's start first of all with a very big name, plays for Manchester United, Mr. Paul Pogba.
Mr. Paul.
Alex, why didn't you get started with Pogba? What do you think? Stay or go?
The thing is, when Pogba came to the Premier League, I really backed him. I wanted him to succeed because he's this young, eccentric French guy. I think he was 23 at the time he came, I believe. I think that's right. And I mean, I think that the pressure of being a world record transfer at that time was obviously quite a lot.
Mm.
I think he just needs to go, and that's quite controversial to say. However, it feels like now they've got Hernandez and they sort of dealt with him. They've dealt without him or started to see a pattern of where they could start to deal without him. Then I think it just might be the right time for him to start something afresh and really try and prove himself as one of the world's best by moving to a Barcelona or a Real Madrid or someone. So
Okay.
as much as it pains me to say, because I think, sorry, my laptop was just going out of charge, but I would like to see him do well. I just think it's sort of sell by data Man United has passed. But go on, give us your thoughts.
Paul Pogba's a difficult one because I do rate him as a player, and I think when he, especially in that World Cup when he was playing for France, I thought he was crazy good.
He was brilliant.
And I really liked him, and we started playing for Man United, and he just wasn't the same. I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was because Mourinho was there, and obviously all that. Like, did they have an argument? Question popped up.
Yeah.
That's why he wasn't sort of performing. But even under Solskjaer, he just hasn't. Well, he's been injured most of this season. And I think about Paul Pogba playing for Man United, and it doesn't make me excited. It doesn't fill me with. It doesn't fill me with like excitement of seeing a really key star player. And he's a star player. The two options he has is he either comes out next season and he proves to the Premier League that he is a Premier League player, he is top class, and Man United can really have him as their centre of their team, or he moves on. And it's a question I don't know the answer to, but I know that he has potential, but I think there's an attitude missing with Paul Pogba, and I don't think he even knows what it is. But he has to find the right attitude to be comfortable, and he's not. And he never looked that comfortable at Man United.
I think the thing. So he had that really great season last season. I mean, he got into the team of the year last season, somewhat controversially, but under Solskjaer, he was very good. I think no one could deny that he was very good. However, I think you're right with the mentality problem because he came from a Juventus side that was winning everything, and he was surrounded by absolutely players, absolutely fantastic players, which raised his level, and experienced players as well. As whilst we're on that subject, and I think moving to this United side, which is at the time and now especially are in a period of change and a period of establishing themselves for the future. And I think it feels like he just wants to be at the top soon. I don't think he probably really wants to be part of this longevity, like the longevity of this journey that Solskjaer wants to go on with, introducing youth and maybe challenging for the title in another 2-3 years. I think he's the type of player that needs to be winning things, and I think it'll be for the good of his career if he went, because I don't think he'd leave any sour taste with United. I think United can cash in. They've got a lot of money for him still because he is still a world class player in his day. And I think it would just be mutually beneficial for both parties. I think now he's hanging over United's head as this star player that we could have, but he's good often, and is he going to really ever get to his best? So I think that's where I am with it, to be honest.
I think ultimately I'm going to have to agree with you. I think I'd love if he stayed into next season and had a whole full season of just being the star player, and Man United could really push for big things.
Yeah.
Even like trophy wins, title chases.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. He has just become this world class player that has become a shadow over this young, influential team. And although you need world class players in a young team sometimes to push them forward, he's maybe not the right one for it. And I think for his own career, it would be better if he either went back to Juventus or went on to Barcelona. I don't think he should go to Real Madrid. I think Real Madrid could eye up better options.
I agree. Barcelona would fit in.
I think we're both in agree that he should probably just go.
It's also worth mentioning as well that he hasn't been lucky with injuries by any sense. So that if he did have a whole run of games this season, who knows what could have happened? But we've only got to go on what has happened. So
yeah, I think we're both in agree he should probably move on in terms of mutual benefit.
Yeah.
Good. What about Sancho then?
Sancho, right. Now look, I love Sancho. And I think he's gonna be so class for England. There's really, really, really strong reports at the moment that United is on the cards / already agreed, possibly. Who knows? Obviously it's all hearsay, nothing confirmed, but that's certainly the strong rumours. I think it won't happen, but I really would have hope / do hope because nothing's confirmed yet that he stays at Dortmund for one more year. I think he's at such a great place at Dortmund. They're developing young players. He's going to get game time no matter what.
Yeah.
And United, there's always going to be that sort of question mark with because you never know who else they're going to bring in.
Yeah.
Sancho's guaranteed starter. Everyone loves him there. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. I think he's still only. I think he's 20, is he? I think he's 20.
Yeah, he's not old at all.
So he's too young to be. Too young. I think he wants one more year of playing at Dortmund, proving himself. Then he can go and get flogged for whatever. It's going to be about 100 mil or more to get Sancho.
I think that'd be fair, to be honest.
It would be fair, but that's just heaping a whole amount of pressure on a young guy's shoulders, and especially against a club like United. So
I think I agree with you, because if we look at young transfers to big clubs, Zaha went to Man United, didn't do anything there.
No.
Went off to Crystal Palace, has done better because he's matured as a player. Pogba, when he originally went to Man United the first time, didn't turn out as well as he'd want to. Unless he's come through the academy, which Sancho, I think, which academy did he come through? Was it City or something?
Man City, yeah, he went.
I don't think Man City have the best academy in terms of other teams like Chelsea, but I think it's important that he's doing so well at Dortmund. He has a chance to become this. He could win a lot with Dortmund, even just next season.
Yeah.
And if you have one more season to prove your worth, one more season of maturity at Dortmund, which is the perfect squad for growing teams, youth growth and stuff. I think I can't remember what player said it, but they said to Sancho, you should just stay, because if you go,
I can't remember either, but I know you're correct. It's
Lewandowski, I don't know. But yeah, I think Sancho, and we were going to talk about Haaland as well. I think
again, I think it's the same situation.
It's the same situation.
These players are so young and they're thriving. Like, they're going to be starting every game, and you want a whole season of these guys just gelling together and being fantastic together. You don't. I mean, it would just be a step too quickly, too far, in my opinion. And what I would say though is that if these players do go off in the summer and take these transfers, whatever, they are like, you've got to like admire the bravery of it, and you say, well, at least like he's not going to be scared of anything.
I think it would be exciting to see them in the Premier League, but I think it would be better if we waited another year for their own personal growth.
I
In terms of teams that they go to, if we're saying they should stay. Which teams they go to? Man United's top list for both Sancho and Haaland. Do you think they should go to Man United, or do you think they should go Chelsea? Or
it's tricky, because I think United, obviously, they're the biggest team in England. No one can deny that. And there's a weighted expectation if you go to United. I think probably United will be a bit more of an enticing club to go to, both, but probably a more sensible option in terms of expectations and obviously and London as well. I think probably Chelsea would be a better fit, probably, just because Sancho, I think he's a London boy originally. He won't have that sort of United expectation. He'll be.
So do they both go to Chelsea? Both the players?
I think Haaland's actually eyeing up Real Madrid, and I think, because he's such in a good way, cocky and young guy who's doing great things. I think he'd actually suit Real Madrid, and they're going to be looking soon for someone to take over Benzema. Benzema's not going to be there for ages, no. And if he continues banging in the goals for Dortmund, which I'm sure he will, I'd really like to see how he'd get on. Actually, I think it'll be very interesting. I'd like to see him come to the Premier League for the Premier League's sake, but in terms of who I think he will, who's the most likely to, and who he'd suit best, I think it'll be Real Madrid.
It's actually interesting you talk about that with Holland because it's like whenever I think of Real Madrid, I think of players that normally go to Real Madrid have proven their worth in the Premier League
Yeah,
first.
that's true. That's true.
Bale, Ronaldo, Beckham. You know,
Yeah,
these players have gone to Real Madrid because they've matured as players in the Premier League. They've shown their worth in the greatest league in the world, and then they get the chance to go to the elite squad of Real Madrid because Real Madrid and Barcelona,
yeah.
they are the elite, the two elite teams in the world.
Mm.
They stand above the rest in terms of their history and the players that they've had play for them. So I
Yeah.
think if Haaland went there now or next season, I worry. Although I'm sure he'd do amazing there anyway because he just makes goals happen.
He does.
But
Yeah.
I feel like it would be odd to see him play for Real Madrid at such a young age.
It
I'd
would.
rather he kept playing for Dortmund for like 2, 3 seasons
Yeah.
and then went to Real Madrid.
Right. I think that brings us on very nicely. I mean, well, okay. Well, just to clear up, I think both in agreement, we wouldn't like to see them go at this stage.
Not at this stage. I think but both Sancho and Haaland need another season.
Agreed. Okay, but I think on the subject of Real Madrid strikers, I think that moves us on quite nicely to Aubameyang.
Real Madrid for Aubameyang. Mm.
Do you know? Right. So I see. Let's talk about Aubameyang. I think Aubameyang, he's clearly. I mean, I've been surprised with how well he's actually done. I thought he was
He
always a
has
little
done
bit,
very well.
little bit overrated at Dortmund, but I mean, his goal record didn't lie, and I thought coming to the Premier League might be a step too far. But I mean,
Mm.
he's if it wasn't for Aubameyang, who knows where Arsenal would be? He's absolutely class.
Yeah, that's why he made it onto my team this season. He's been
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. I think it's just with him. I think he's 30. I think that's the crucial thing. He's getting towards the end of his career. I mean, he's probably still got another 3 4 years left at the top.
Mm.
But do you want to spend that at a club like Arsenal that realistically are going nowhere at the moment? Obviously, you never. Arteta's got a good plan maybe for him.
Yeah,
If a club like Real Madrid wants you, which I'm sure they will, or Barcelona, you've you've got to take. I think he should go for himself, and also I think he should go this summer so Arsenal get some serious money for him because he's only got a year left on his contract after the end of the season.
mm.
They can't do another Sanchez where they let it run down and
Mm.
they keep him for another 6 months, then let him go for basically nothing. They have to be savvy about this, and they have to say,
Yeah,
right, we're either going to get him on a new contract this summer and he's going to sign it, a contract extension, or we've got to let him go and get 60, 70 million for him for only a season
yeah.
left of his contract. So
I think you have to see if he's invested in the Arsenal project or not because Arsenal, like Tottenham, like Everton, like Man United, they're in a transition stage again. Tottenham
yeah,
always in transition stage, but they're in a transition stage where they're trying to rebuild a younger squad, a new character with
yeah,
new managers and new philosophies. If he's invested in that, which we don't know if he is or not,
no,
but if
that's true. Of
he is, he could really take that Arsenal team forward.
course he could,
But
yeah.
at the age of, would you say he's 30? Would you
Yeah, he's
say
30 years old.
yeah, I think if he wants to go on and win trophies, if he wants to go on and be part of something bigger, and you don't want another Sanchez scenario, I think it would be because I could see him play for Barcelona.
I could see him playing for Barcelona as well. I think when I brought the subject onto Real Madrid, what I was really meaning is that the two big names in Spain will
Mm,
probably be looking at him and being like, that's a ready-made replacement for whoever
yeah,
we have now, which is Suarez and Benzema, who are both getting on. And I think as much as like you said, like we don't know what his thoughts are at Arsenal, but the thing is that he's been at Dortmund. He's been fantastic at Dortmund, but didn't win anything, or
yeah,
I think maybe one equivalent to the FA Cup. I think been at Arsenal, hasn't won anything. That's a long time in his career where he should be at his peak and hasn't really won anything substantial.
yeah,
Now's his time to get a big move. win some La Ligas, maybe a Champions League. Like, if he wants really to be remembered as one of the best strikers, not the best strikers ever lived, but really one of the top class strikers in the 21st century, the 2000, like, then he's got to move. He has to. And I think it's a shame to hear that for Arsenal fans and Premier League fans, but not for you, I'm sure. But
Oh no, I'd be over the moon. But no, I rate him as a player, and I think you're right. If you don't want another Alexis Sanchez scenario where Arsenal run down a player and then lose him for nothing, sell him now, cash him in, and Arsenal can then rebuild their project, and it maybe turn out to be the best thing they ever did.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yes, it's a very good point.
What about Sterling then?
Sterling,
moving on to Raheem Sterling, who is at Manchester City, is amazing, has won pretty much every English trophy, but he doesn't have a Champions League.
That's, I think people sort of gloss over this and don't really think of it as a big deal. You know that picture of Sterling with a Real Madrid shirt over one shoulder and a Man City shirt over the other?
Yeah.
That's not Photoshop. That's a real picture, and he said those quotes to the Spanish newspaper that, if Real Madrid are a huge club, I can see myself playing there one day, etc., etc. Like that. When I saw that, I think people sort of didn't really clock. Like, that's a huge thing to be said. Like, a really, and I mean, if you're a City fan, you'd be like, well, what are you saying that for? Type thing. Like, you don't say that when you're doing really well at City and everything, like, because at the time he was. So it's a tricky one with him. I think if he does go to Madrid, then he will be nowhere near the player he is at City. Because I think Pep Guardiola has done so much more for him than he might realise. Or, I mean, he might, but then people would realise. Like, Pep Guardiola
do you think
a goal machine.
Do you think that if you went to Real Madrid sort of this summer, next summer, would he become a shadow of the player he is now under Zidane?
I think, well, the thing is, I think as well, Zidane, I mean, these are little things, but Zidane doesn't speak English. He's the type of manager that lets these talented players that he has at his disposal do their thing. He just lets them go on the pitch. He sets them up how he wants to, and then he's like, right, do your thing. I feel like why Sterling's been so successful in recent years with Guardiola is because Guardiola has obviously seen something in him, and he's just absolutely he's nailed every single little part of his game of what he wants to improve and what he wants him to work on, and he's obviously listened, and he's turned into this frightening player that is class for Man City. He's won so much, and I think he doesn't. From the quotes he said from the magazine, maybe they were taken out of context, but I think he doesn't realise how good he's got it at City. I really don't.
Yeah, I think in terms of my own personal opinion, I think if he was to stay at City and City were to go on and dominate, the next few seasons as they have, obviously with more competition from Liverpool, etc., but to be still at top side, if Sterling was to stay there, he could quite easily, I mean, you could argue he's getting there now, be a Premier League legend for Manchester City. Have all these trophies, have all these experiences. The only thing that would be missing is if he hadn't won a Champions League. But I think Manchester City have the potential to do that. And I think they could do that this season. I mean, we've said Bayern Munich will do it in the last podcast, but Manchester City have the potential. And if Sterling can be part of that, I wouldn't give that up for the world.
I think as well, it's noting that he's still quite young as well. I mean, comparatively, he's still 25, and that's a footballer's peak is supposedly 27, 28. And if he's at that now, then I think you're right. I think, like, why would you're at such a good thing at Man City? It could have ended in tears. You could have gone from Liverpool, the club that everyone loves you at, gone to Man City, a newly successful football team, and it could have ended in tears. But he hasn't. He's managed to get the fans on side. He's fantastic. He's scoring goals. He's getting assists. He's great on the wing. Why?
So
I don't think it's. I don't think it's worth sacrificing that for for Madrid, who I just don't think he'd suit them. I really don't think he'd suit them.
it's interesting you
It
say
is an
that.
interesting one.
So you're saying Sterling to stay
I'm
then?
saying Sterling, mate, stay at Man City.
I
Stay.
think he stays. I think he eventually goes to Real Madrid, but I think in 2 or 3 seasons' time.
Okay, there you
And
go.
I think Man City can do quite a lot in that time anyway. Although if he did stay, he would be an English legend till the end of time.
There you go.
Talking about England legends, another one who has the
You're not going to
potential
say
is
Harry Kane, are
a Mr. Harry Kane.
you? Of course. Right, Mr. Harry Kane.
Lots of
Okay.
talk about Harry Kane on the
Lots of
news.
talk indeed. Yeah, I think he's. I mean, you got to start off by saying I think he's firstly class. I think people are underrate him massively with what he does. I mean, where he's come from only 4 or 5 years ago to where he is now, it's a bit of a joke. I think you're not gonna like what I'm about to say. He's got to go, mate. He has to go. He's got to cement himself as one of the best strikers, but one of the best strikers we've ever seen. He's still only 25, 26.
Yeah.
He's got to go and he's got to win Champions League. He's got to win leagues, and he's not going to do that with Spurs. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I know I can hear tears dropping onto your desk
I'm crying right now. I think Harry Kane is a difficult one because he is this amazing player and he's more than proven himself
the
of his
natural born goal
capability in the
scorer.
Premier League.
Natural born goal scorer.
Natural born striker.
Yeah.
They're saying on the news 200 million. I think that's fair, to be honest.
Yeah.
Absolutely worth that. But the main rumours are coming from Manchester United. Now, I don't want him to go to Manchester United.
No, I'm sure.
If he went off to Real Madrid, I'd prefer him at Barcelona. But if it went to Barcelona or Real Madrid, I would be, fair enough, mate. You do you.
Yeah.
You more than proved your legacy at Tottenham. Sorry
Yeah.
we didn't give you any trophies, mate. But the Mourinho effect could kick in, and it could kick in sooner than we think. And if it kicks in next season, Tottenham are in with a huge shout of winning some big cups.
Wow.
And if
controversial statement.
if Kane is there, I think Kane should stay for the next season to next 2 seasons because
I'm sure you do.
no, obviously, of course, I want Kane to stay there until he retired, but I know that that's not realistic, and I do want him to go and experience Spanish football or Italian football. I want Kane to do that as a player.
Yeah.
But if he stayed for next season, 2 seasons, and Mourinho works, if Mourinho doesn't work, then yeah, go. I would be like, go straight away. If Mourinho's not working by January or whenever the timetable will be when football comes back, go. I'd be like, just go. Don't go to Manchester United though. Go somewhere you're guaranteed to win trophies. Guaranteed to win trophies. So Barcelona, you're definitely going to win a La Liga at some point.
Yeah.
Same with Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Or Juventus. Go to those teams if Mourinho doesn't work. But if Mourinho works, you have the chance to beat Jimmy Greaves' top scoring record for Spurs. You've got a chance of winning FA Cup, League Cups, potentially challenge for Premier Leagues, but I'm doubtful on that.
Don't hold your breath.
No, I'm not going to. But if you can get FA Cups, League Cups with Spurs, we're a cup side, really. In my lifetime, we've been a team that does well in the FA Cup, does well in the League Cup. Yeah, we've only won the League Cup once in my lifetime, but we do okay in those competitions. If we had both of those trophies in our cabinet, I'd be over the moon because we would have won some silverware. Harry Kane would have been, I won some silverware of my childhood club, and I'm their top scorer. I'm off to Barca now, lads, to go win some titles, some like proper titles. And you go, fair enough, mate, you crack on.
Yeah.
Well, we'll sell you off 200 million. We'll buy like 800 players with you. It's fine.
The thing is that from an outsider's perspective is that I think Mourinho coming in was probably the worst. It's tricky because I think it could go so. There's two such opposite effects with Mourinho.
Mm.
And I think that there's that one that where he does come in and he just galvanises the team and he gets trophies. But I just think he is unfortunately past it in that respect. And I think he's
Yeah,
the
I am concerned
worst
with
for
that.
Kane to have at the moment because I think Kane loved Pochettino because he's a young, hungry manager
Mm.
that really wanted the best for the whole team. And I think now Mourinho's come in, it just doesn't suit him. I think, and I think the thing is from an outside perspective is that there's been question marks over Harry Kane for the last 2 years of he's got to win a trophy or he's going to be gone.
Yeah.
So it's just where are we on that sort of timer of that?
I think, and I don't know whether you agree with me, but he should stay for next season. If we don't win any trophies next season, then that's time to go.
I'm afraid that we're going to disagree on this one. We are going to disagree. I think after the end of this season, you've got to take 200 mil for him and just let him go. I don't know how he's feeling, like personally about everything, but I I just think he's at the end of his elbow there at Tottenham with Mourinho in charge.
Yeah.
So I hate to say it, I do.
It's perfectly valid. 200 million, sell Harry Kane
He's
off.
worth that. He is
What?
worth that.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
guaranteed 20 goal
guaranteed.
season striker in whatever league. I think. Oh, not the sorry, I can't say that for definite because he hasn't proven it yet. But I 100% believe whatever league he plays at, whatever level he'll play at, he's a guaranteed 20
In,
goal season striker, and he turns up in the big games as well. So
if he is sold off, which he will be at some point, whether I like it or not, or whenever that will happen,
yeah,
what club does he go to? Because Manchester United have been the top talking club
I
of Harry Kane. I don't think he should go to Manchester United. I don't know about you.
I think if he goes to another English club, that would be the worst thing for him.
Yeah.
Absolutely the worst thing. If he's going to go, he's got to go because the whole point about the English league, like the Premier League, is that it is so open. I mean, obviously you've got the top six, and however badly some of those teams are doing, it was always a chance that one of those six teams could win realistically. However, in the Spanish league, I mean, you've got Atletico who could possibly float around, but you've got Barcelona and Real Madrid.
Yeah.
If he goes to one of those, as you said, he's guaranteed to win trophies, which is
Mhm.
what he needs to solidify as one of the best strikers
Yeah.
of the 21st century. So it's it as much as obviously Tottenham fans are going to hate hearing this. I just think go to Barca, go to Real Madrid, and just prove yourself, and then I think he can always come back to Spurs. I think he loves Spurs so much, and I think he can come back to Spurs with that experience
Yeah.
at a point and take it. I just think he has to go now just to
I think next season's the crux for me because I want him to leave, and I think if next season, halfway through next season, it doesn't look like it's going to happen, then he should leave in the January transfers.
Yeah.
If we do win something, he should still leave in the summer.
Okay.
He deserves to go on and get his guaranteed title wins in different countries, playing for Spain or Italian teams, top Italian teams. But I think next season, I think at the moment, the Mourinho effect, the players we brought in, it's too uncertain to be like, oh, Tottenham aren't going to win anything because you're doing Tottenham, you don't know if they will. And I think if Mourinho works next season, because you'll know halfway, he has to wait. I think he has to stay and see if it does. Because if it does, then he can get the trophies and then go on. And if it doesn't, then he can just go on and get the trophies anyway. But I think he needs to stay. He needs to make sure that legacy is fully in place at Spurs and then move on. But yes, that's it. Transfer talk concluded.
And transfer talk concluded. Maybe we can do a few more next time. We can.
Yes, that was good. That was a good conversation. I liked the in depth on each player. It was good. Anyway, people, let's move on. Let's have a bit of fun at the end of this podcast.
Let's have a bit of jovial fun.
We've been talking for a while, so let's have a little bit of fun. Let's talk about, let's say, 3 of our favourite personal football memories.
Football memory.
And Alex, I'd like you to start off with the one that sticks out in your mind, right? When you sit down and you think about the memories you've had and experiences you've had with football.
Right. Okay. So, just as a disclaimer, as a Burnley fan, you don't have some of these glamorous these glamorous performances where I could say, oh, it was the day where we beat United 3-0 away, or West. Although actually we did beat them 2-0 this season, just to pop that in. But anyway, I one of my favourite football memories. I'll cast you back to 2011-12, I think the season was.
Mm.
Burnley were playing away at Bristol City, and we 3-1 up. Beautiful. 10 minutes to go. That's all right. 10 minutes to go. We're 3-1 up. We are Burnley. We are Burnley. Then chance of going round. Everyone's loving life. City get a goal back. Oh shit. Sorry for swearing, everyone, but it was what my thoughts were at the time. Damn. Right. Okay. So we've got 10 minutes to hold out. Right. We should do that. It gets to the 90th minute. City have a free kick. Hits the post. Rebound. Goes in. Are you joking me? We've just thrown this away. I feel so. I mean, luckily for me, we live well. I live in Bristol. You live fairly near. It's not that bad a journey for all the Burnley fans that travel down. It's a long journey. So right, 3-3. Oh, 90th minute. God, fuming, absolutely fuming. 94th minute, we get a cheeky free kick. What's going to happen? Send that back post. McCann gets a head on it, loops over, goes in the corner of the net. He comes over to celebrate with the Burnley fans. Absolute limbs. Everyone's going all over the place. My dad's falling down the stairs. Like he's fallen down about 4 rows of stairs. I've got this woolly hat on that I'm just swinging around with all my mates. And it was just scenes. It was just scenes. I'm almost certain if I asked 10,000 of the football community, no one would remember that game because it was a meaningless championship game at the time. But just being there was class. It's unexplainable. And last minute winners. When your
Yeah,
team scores a last minute winner,
last minute winners are always going to be
they're just
in.
limbs. They're scenes. It's
Yeah,
so fun.
well, they will always be in my memory, and I think I think people probably will do remember that game. To be honest with you, Alex, like 4-3. It's not one to forget.
It's a big game. It's a big game.
Mm.
The two
And I think talking about last minute winners, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. The recent
Well, which
Spurs
one? I know you're going to talk about
Ajax Spurs game.
Oh god.
I had to pick this one because it got us to the final.
No, of course.
The Man City game was the one. Will always be this amazing classic of a match.
Yeah.
But in terms of the pure ecstatic joy I got from it, I have to pick the Ajax game. The funny thing was I didn't actually watch that game. I was listening to it on the radio.
Oh my god, that must have been excruciating.
Because we didn't have Sky at that point, so I couldn't watch it. And I was listening to it on the radio, and listening to it on the radio is the most intense experience.
That's horrible.
Of anything. And I remember being sat there and we were 2-0 down, and I'm going, well, that's that then. So I turned it off.
Yeah.
I turned it off, and my dad wasn't living with me at the time, but he phoned me up, and he went, "Have you checked the football?" And I went, "What? No, we're losing. We're like 3-0 down aggregate." I just turned it off, couldn't bear it. And he went, "No, we got one back." And I went, "Oh, here we go." So I switched the radio back on, and I sat there and I listened to the whole thing. And when it was the 94th minute, and there you go, Sissoko's kicked it up the field.
Yeah.
Llorente's passed it down. Dele Alli's through. Lucas Moura. God, it was just.
Oh my god.
I watch it back all the time, and it just gives me goosebumps still.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been alive, Tottenham have never been a top side.
Yeah.
And to reach that pinnacle point of being a Champions League final for the first time ever, it was the best experience I've had as a Tottenham fan in a really, really long time. And it will always be one of the top of my memories, just because of me listening on the radio and just the last minute winner of it, I don't think I've run around my house so crazy. But yeah, I think that is definitely the top memory for me.
That's a good one to have. Of course it is. Right. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Talking about running around houses, I'm going to move on to 2018 World Cup. Absolutely, I love international tournaments. I was so gutted the Euros got cancelled this year. I just love them. They're just brilliant. So this particular one was the Colombia match. The dreaded Colombia match.
This is on my list as well. This is on my list as well.
Okay, well that's good. We can both talk about this. But for my rendition of it, it was quite funny because all the other matches I think out with my friends or at the pub or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But I just remember this one. We were at my uncle invited me and my family round, and it was a very nice affair, but I was shaking with nerves through the whole game. The amount of emotions I went through in that game were just extraordinary. Obviously, you've got the first half a bit dull, England just about on top, but still not a great game. We get the penalty, fantastic. 90th minute, Pickford made that. Remember Pickford made that save?
Yeah, that was an amazing save.
Oh my gosh, he's just saved us. We're going to go through. Then they scored the resulting corner, and then you're suddenly all the way back down and just fuming with life. And then extra time slowly goes by, and Colombia look like they're going to win it. Then we look like we're going to win it. Then it's penalties. Oh gosh, right. Brace yourselves, because this could either be the worst moment or one of the best moments of my life. And then.
Oh, I was completely prepared for us to lose penalties because I've never seen England win penalties.
No, well,
I was already convinced that it was over. I was like, well, that's it then. England penalties. This never goes well. So, but I was stood up in my living room. I never sit down when football's on. I'm stood up like a child, staring right at the screen. And yeah, I'll let you explain that moment when Eric Dyer scored a penalty. But
it was just. When Henderson missed, when Henderson missed, I just remember putting my head in my hands and I was like, "It's going to happen again." I think I said it to myself. It's going to happen again, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then they missed the next one, and then Trippier scored the next one. So it was effectively sudden death. And Pickford saved that shot, and it was so funny actually. Pickford saved that shot to give us a score to win penalty, and I didn't react at all. I remember just watching, or maybe I gave like a sign, yes, come on. But I was so nervous and so sort of scared of the fact that we actually had a score to win penalty. I didn't want to react because I didn't want to sort of jump the gun a bit. Then Dyer scored, and honestly, I stood up and my head got tangled in the little dangling light they had above me. I ran outside. I did a sort of knee slide on the grass out of their garden. My brother came and toppled on me, and it's just the elation of winning a World Cup.
I remember, and remember Eric Dyer is a Tottenham player, so I should be more praising of him. But I remember he stood up, and I went, "Why have we picked Eric Dyer to take the winning penalty?" I went, "Why are we doing that for? Why can't Kane take it again?" But he just about scored it actually. But it went in, and I've never. It's that euphoria you get when watching football. And I think that's the thing people miss the most, especially at the moment.
I think
it's just the emotion of it, the togetherness of it, especially in this.
Yeah. When it's England, though, everyone's in on it together. I think when it's a club thing, obviously it's probably a lot more personal to you, your own club, but obviously not everyone everyone you're watching with or whatever or whoever is not quite feeling the same as you. When it's England, everyone around the whole country has stopped watching that game, and just as a country, all finally we've won a penalty shootout. I just remember thinking, it was just such a high. I don't think I've ever felt such a high of a football game as I did then. It was
so going from a high memory to a low one for England.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this England one as well. And we'll talk about one more personal one each. Lampard no goal 2010 World Cup.
Oh, do not even go there.
I
That,
don't. I
oh,
was only 9 when that match was on,
yeah,
but I remember precisely the moment he shot that ball, and I remember it going so clearly over the line, bouncing so far into the net, and even Neuer when he grabbed the ball back out of
yeah,
net, he didn't react in a sense of no, that wasn't a goal, no. He kind of just carried on playing because the whistle hadn't gone. But it, I just don't. Still now, we all kind of sit there and we watch it back, and we just all
yeah.
England fans sit there with clueless eyes and go, "How did the linesman not get that right?"
Oh,
It's
don't.
impossible to get it wrong.
It was
And I think
just,
that will forever be a memory of our childhood watching England
yeah,
because
yeah,
that golden generation just failed, and that goal was just that never counted. Was just the irony of it was almost laughable. What looking it back now, but I remember being so angry, and the angriest 9-year-old in the
yeah,
world.
yeah, genuinely.
Um, yeah, and then obviously, I think the most annoying thing about that memory is it could have been 2-2 at half time, but it wasn't. It was 2-1, and then we went on and got absolutely battered by Germany.
Yeah, that was such a raw experience. I think that was like the first moment, like because you and I was 10 then,
Mm,
and I was just it was the first sort of moment I think when I was just about grown up enough to sort of hit me. And I was like, oh my gosh, like
yeah.
feel I feel truly devastated. Like
Mm,
obviously, like before that, you sort of understand football and you get it, but you're not that much emotionally involved with it at that point in your life. But I think that was the first moment like we just like this is a World Cup against Germany, as big as it ever gets, and we've just
mm,
been robbed of a perfectly good goal that 99.9% of the people in that stadium could see it went in.
mm.
And don't. But you know what? You know what I will say about it is that there's any positive to take from it is that we got goal on technology.
Yeah,
That just seems
absolutely.
like they had to start developing it. It had to be a thing. And if there's anything to
It's nothing like the English to be a pioneer for
there you go,
things to be
exactly.
made. Okay, give us one more of your personal memories, and then
One,
we
one
will, and
personal
I'll
memory.
do one as
Okay.
well.
So this is a personal memory. I didn't actually watch the. I watched a bit of the match. I remember, but it was such a bizarre set of circumstances, but so brilliantly funny at the same time. It was
Mm,
first game of the season in the 2017-18 season. Burnley were away at Chelsea, who just previously won the Premier League with
mm,
a ridiculous amount of points. They looked fantastic. Conte was flying, and I'm not sure if you remember this, but this was the game where at half time Burnley were 3-0 up away at Chelsea. And the hilarious thing about it was that we saw we went 1-0 up and we saw Cahill had a red card. So
mm.
oh, this is going fantastic. Like who could have thought this was going to happen? And me and my brother Will were watching it on this dodgy stream. It was like a one of those streams because we
Yeah,
don't Sky either. So we're trying to find and watch it some way. And then one of my mates from school was meshing. He was a Chelsea fan. Was
mm.
meshing me the score, and he suddenly went 2-0, and we were like, oh well, he's joking. Like let's not read into it. Then we went up the other end of the score. And we were, oh my god, and like because we watched it after he said it, so he's joking. And then we scored, and then in the actual game, like we scored 2 minutes later. So then he said, like this is ridiculous, 3-0. And I'm like, oh yeah, shut up, Louis. Like that's
Yeah.
not even funny. Like, and then we scored a third, and it was just like we didn't know what to do. We didn't know what was happening. It was like we're 3-0 up again, 3-0 up away at Chelsea, and I'm like, what do we do now? How does this happen? And then what I remember was funny is that me and my brother had to go. I think we're seeing some friends or whatever, and then on our phones we got the updates: 3-1, 3-2. Chelsea down to 9 men at 3-2 and still pushing. And then they had this goal cleared off. Like the Morata missed like a sitter in the last minute. We won. And we're just in our mate's house and just erupt because they have no idea what's going on. And it was just such a bizarre set of circumstances, but it was just so, it's such a fond memory. Such a fond memory. But anyway, I'm
That
glad. But
That's a good memory. That's got some
good
ups
memory.
and downs and everything in it.
Oh,
That is
oh,
good
absolutely.
memory. So for my final memory, I was going to talk about Tottenham's League Cup win, but I don't want to talk about that one
Oh,
because I was only 7 when Tottenham won the League Cup. I remember having it on the radio again, and it got the final whistle went, and my final memory is because my brother Ben is a Chelsea fan, and we beat Chelsea in the League Cup final. And we wanted one. I remember Dad and I both went, "Yeah," and Ben started crying, bless him, because he was only 7. But the main memory that stands out to me as my final memory to talk about is not when Tottenham won anything, but it's when Chelsea won something, and it's when they won the Champions League. I was around my
yeah,
mate's house, and all their family was together, and
yeah,
all my family were together as well. And
yeah.
obviously, no one was a Chelsea fan. The only one who was a Chelsea fan was Ben.
Right.
And I remember when Drogba scored that penalty, we all became Chelsea fans. I honestly, there's recordings of when we won it. There's everything. We all went nuts. We all
Oh, that's
jumped
bizarre.
around. Our whole family were together. My mates were together. We were all just going, "Yeah, come on, Chelsea," and everything. I'm a Tottenham fan.
Yeah,
I should have been like, "Oh, well done, smart ass,"
yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever. But I was over the moon, and it just stands out to me. It's just that moment of
That's
when
yeah,
me and my mates and my family and everyone just came together at that moment just to be with football
yeah,
and just
yeah, yeah.
and it was club football. It wasn't international football. It was club football, and it was just an amazing night, and that just really topped it off. And just watching an English team win the
Yeah.
European Cup
Yeah.
was it was just really good, and that
Am I
is the
correct?
memory that stands out to me.
Yeah, am I correct in saying though that Chelsea winning the Champions League didn't that mean that Tottenham missed out on the Champions League? Or am I misplacing that? I can't remember exactly.
Uh, Probably, to be fair.
Imagine that. Well, okay. Well, just to clarify, if that happened now, you wouldn't be celebrating. We can all agree on that.
No, maybe not, but
No, I know what you mean.
yeah,
When you, just bizarrely sort of everything comes to play, and you just so
yeah.
like you
I think it was just everyone was together at that moment. Everyone
yeah
just decided to drop their tribal attitudes and just be a Chelsea fan and just enjoy the night and come
yeah
together and
might as well yeah
and it was just it was such a good memory, football memory for me, and it's a team that I absolutely despise. But
wow
we just all came together, and that is one of the standout football memories for me. And
that's a great
I
one.
think that's been a really fun conversation actually, Alex, and
That's,
I've enjoyed that. We should probably think of a few more maybe to do in
I
future.
think so. I think so.
But I'm glad everyone. I hope everyone's enjoyed our little
Yeah,
football
we've been talking for a
discussions.
long time, guys. I mean, looking credit if you know what, if you've managed to get to the end of the video or you listen to the end of the video, just type in the comments I made it to the end. I doubt there'll be many, if any at all. But if you did, that would be hilarious because we've been talking for a long time. But anyway, yeah, that was fantastic. So that was our thoughts on relegation, transfers, and some of our personal memories. Subscribe, like, let us know in the comments some of your thoughts on what we said. I've been Alex the A. He's been Zach the.
The Z.
Yes, right. We've got that nailed now, guys. Right. Anyway, we will see you next time for another episode.
Thank you for listening to
Thank you for
A to
listening.
Z of football. See you
Stay
later.
safe.